Okay, I'm not going to touch the recording button because I did that yesterday and we missed the first 15 minutes. I'm not going to touch it. So if you're watching the recording, people will just have to look at your beautiful living room. And okay, people are arriving. Hello. Hi. Let us know. How's everybody doing? Any kind of feedback or breakthroughs or ahas or questions or whatnot from the last couple of days? We're really going to dive into it today. We're going to get into a lot of meat the next 3 days. So make sure you're here live. Lots of people are watching the recording, so that's great. And we are having a blast in the VIP group. It's really awesome. I'm really, for those of you doing the VIP, what's been your experience? Yeah, it's been really, really good questions and interactions and stuff. And if you want to join us today in the VIP, you still can. Carrie will post the link. Oh, hi, Sue from the Netherlands. Hello. You've been to a few of my trainings, haven't you? How's everyone doing wherever they are in the world? Gloucestershire. Tennessee. Oh, I'm in Alabama. That's I think above us. I'm still getting my bearings. I'm still not totally sure where everything is in my head. Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Toronto. Hello, neighbor.
Yeah. I've never been to Canada, Anne. Isn't that dreadful?
Well, you better come.
I know.
You had better come. Bring those
we have Canadian relatives. I remember when I was growing up, with my mum always used to talk about the Canadian relatives in Winnipeg.
Love it.
And I know there's the Commonwealth connection with Canada and the UK. Oh, Birmingham, Alabama. London, West Sussex.
I'm in Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are going to dive into this pretty soon. Okay. Mom for life. I can't see it. Hello from Midwest. I'm having a hard day sitting in my feelings, but here I am. Hard times are temporary. This too shall pass. You're absolutely right. Long Island, New York. I used to live there. Okay, so we are day 3. So a couple of things. Let me announce the winner. Sorry for the snafu yesterday. We posted I told you guys one homework question, another homework question was posted, and we just went with it. So the winner for yesterday is going to get a signed copy of Drink from Anne, and that's going to be Kay Hebborn. Again, I hope I said that correctly. If you're here, Kay, are you here, Kay? If not, that's coming to you. You need to reach out and get an address. We need to get an address for you, so Anne can do a personalized copy to you. Hopefully today the correct question will be in the Facebook group. We cleared that up, and we're going to send you a signed copy of my book. So if you answer the question, I'll send you a signed copy of my book. We are going to talk about the secret to getting free from alcohol for good, right? Remember, we've talked about we can all stop drinking. You've all done it. Everybody here has stopped drinking. Would you agree? It's staying stopped. That's the challenge. So I'm going to talk about how we need to navigate past resistance and get out of our holding pattern, and what we actually need to do, right? I felt when I was getting sober, sometimes people give me some real vague, it was very vague, like self-care or you need to work on yourself. Does anyone else feel like that? Like sometimes it's a bit vague. We are going to be very, very specific, and we're going to get more into that today, tomorrow, and Friday. We are opening enrollment for the Inner Circle, which is our 5-month program with Anne and I, and that I will be talking about later as well. So to get free from alcohol, we have to navigate past resistance. And let me tell you what happens. If you've read my book or you're familiar with my work, I talk about the 5 pillars of sobriety. One of those pillars is growth. We are all being called to grow. Everybody, the reason that you are here today is because of a call to growth. As long as you are human and have breath in your body, you are being called to grow. So this happens a lot with our drinking. You've all had days, and do you remember these days where you would wake up and go, that's it, I am done, I'm stopping? How many times do you think you did that?
I did it for years. I did it for years and I took notes. Being a writer, I took notes. So I know I did it for years.
And were you like, did you have times where you were 100% like done, that's it, done?
It took me a long time to get there. I have
Yeah.
to admit. It took
Yeah.
me a long time to get there. But yes, when I wanted to be done, I found it very difficult to actually be done.
Yes. So this is what happens. We, all of us, when we get this call to growth and we wake up and we go, that's it, I'm done, I'm never drinking again, I've downloaded the podcast, I've got the books, I'm committed, I just want to be sober, and off we go. And sometimes that's a few days or weeks or months. What happens whenever we are called to grow? Because being called to grow means going into something new. Sobriety, emotional sobriety in particular, it's new. It is the unknown. We have not lived there before. I remember having a massive, like, because I was in my 20s, I just was like, how, like, what about Christmas? But what about Christmas? Like, how, I mean, and what about my birthday? And what about when I get married? Like, surely there's exceptions, because I could not conceive of doing those things without alcohol. It was unknown to me. So we go through this whenever we do something new. You know, who started a new job? And I used to interview, I interview really well. I would more than often not get the job. And as soon as they gave me the job, I'd think, oh, crap. Ugh, what if I can't do it? Did you do that? Have you done that? Yeah, everybody,
Yeah.
right? Oh my God, they've made some mistake. They're going to find out I'm an idiot. Oh God, why don't I just stay where we are? The reason that we've applied for the new job is we don't want to stay where we are. We're maybe bored, we don't like it, we've outgrown it, we want more money, whatever. Call to growth. Apply for the new job, get the new job, and then go, oh, that's resistance showing up because we're doing something new. Is everyone clear about that? So this has been happening with everybody when you've tried to stop drinking. You get the call to growth, you want to stop drinking, off you go, and then you meet resistance. Resistance, the voice of resistance is the voice of the ego. We all have a voice inside of us. It's the ego voice. We're not crazy. We're all narrating our own lives, right? We're just all narrating our own lives. So what happens is, off you go, and you're heading towards this new sober land that you've never inhabited or haven't been to for very long before. And the ego doesn't like it. The ego's primary purpose is to keep you safe. You know, you might be, if you're standing on the edge of a very busy street, you'll have that voice in your head going, you know, stand back, right? That's the ego trying to keep you safe, and it's done a very good job. But the ego mistakenly believes the best way to keep you safe is if everything stays familiar and nothing changes. Am I making sense to everybody? Please put yes or no in the chat. So the ego doesn't want anything to change. So it will start saying things to you to prevent you changing. Who has had this happen? You're not that bad. You could just have two. It's Friday. Don't have spirits. Just stick to wine. Everybody else is having a glass or two. What's the big deal? I mean, it's been a really hard week. It's been, you deserve to have a cup. You know, you had a month off. You probably can manage it finer. Who has had that voice in their head? That is not the voice of God or the voice of truth. It is the voice of the ego trying to stop you changing. So you need to know, every time you get called to change, called to do something different, the ego is going to show up and resistance is going to show up. And what happens is, once the ego pays attention, it's going to start feeling very uncomfortable. Can everyone remember when they were 100% committed? And what happened with you? What did you get that after the 100% commitment?
I'd always be fine till 5 o'clock.
Really?
And then at 5 o'clock, I'd say, maybe it wasn't that bad, you know, just one. And lo and behold, I'd be back exactly where I didn't want to be. Get up, repeat.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, I bet the ego says this, the ego is not very original, right? You're not that bad, right? We talked about that. You're not that bad, so it's okay to drink. So, and then what happens is it starts feeling really, really uncomfortable. We can't stand the discomfort. We know that willpower doesn't work. So we might try and like white knuckle it through. Who's done that? Just try and white knuckle it through, just try and get through. It's a losing battle because our feelings are always going to override any promises or commitments that we've made to ourselves. And we make the decision that we're going to drink. And I'm going to tell you, the relief comes when you make the decision, not even when you drink. It's when you make the decision that you're just like, I'm not that bad. I can just have one. And then you have one or two or three or four. And then you end up back where you were before, right? Waking up going, I don't want to do this. And you just get stuck in a holding pattern. Who has done that? Was that clear to everybody? It's really important to know this psychological process that is going to happen. Now, we can navigate around resistance. I'll tell you, one of the ways it shows up for me is I'm very dyslexic, and it always shows up for me in sort of academic or professional settings. That ego shows. I said to Anne, when we started doing this, because Anne's a writer, she's an award-winning writer, I said, I just need you to know, because we had to write a lot of stuff, I'm very dyslexic and there's going to be spelling mistakes. Because what happens in my head is Anne is going to read my stuff and I'm going to make mistakes that I can't see because of my dyslexia, and she's going to go, oh my goodness, what am I thinking of working with her? So I remember I said that, right? Like I just was like, just to let you know.
You did.
And that's what I do, because that's resistance. I get scared. So whenever I'm in an academic setting or I'm in that kind of situation, that voice, you're going to look stupid. They're going to think you're an idiot. You're going to make some mistakes. And what would happen in the past before I knew this is I would leave. I would run. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take the opportunity. I wouldn't do it. I'd make an excuse because it was so uncomfortable, the fear that I was going to look stupid or make a mistake in front of people, that I'd just not do it. Now, that was me navigating around that. That was me going, you know what, I'm just going to get it out there and say this, and knowing that Anne would be like, don't worry about it, it's fine. That my discomfort just went right down, and that's how I dealt with it. Now I know what's going on. I can navigate around it. So knowing what's happening will decrease that intensity of it by 50%. Now the discomfort will still be there, but it's really important to know that this will pass. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I deal with this. What I want you to do is when that voice shows up, you can't do it, it's the wrong time, you're not that bad, whatever, you're going to acknowledge what's happening. Say, oh, that's the voice of the ego. It's trying to keep me safe. Thank you for keeping me safe, but I don't need you right now. You're just going to do that. I don't need you right now. I'm going to commit to getting through another sober day or another sober hour. That's the voice of the ego. Once we own what is happening, it will help you in navigating. There'll still be some discomfort, but it will go. What you need to do with the rest of the discomfort, that's where you need community. That's when you need other people going, you know what? Yeah, I felt like that. You know what? You can do it. You know what? In a few weeks, it's going to feel better. You know what? Remember how bad it was. And that's what gets us through. Does that make sense to everybody? So it shows up all over the place, but it's really, really, really going to show up when you are called to grow and when you're called to change. And we have to learn how to navigate. It's a life skill. Navigating around the ego and resistance is a life skill. And it's one of the things we talk about when we do our 5-month coaching program. So the other thing that we have to do is we have to have this practice that maintains our mental and emotional health. So we have to continuously do things, right? Now, I don't know about you, when I got sober and I was doing some things, I was like, how long do I have to do this for? Like, when will I graduate from it? And so did you feel like that, Anne?
I did.
Yeah. Why do I have, I don't want to do this anymore. I just wanted to get on with my life because I was very busy. And someone said to me, forever, you have to do this forever. And my heart sunk. I was like, oh God, really? I want to tell you, there is a destination that we get to. We don't graduate because it's personal development. Here's the thing. Everybody on the planet needs to do personal development, the development of oneself. It's just most people don't realize it. We are the fortunate ones. We have got the message that we need to work a bit on ourselves and just develop this. It's just like exercising. That's all it is. We know we need to exercise our bodies for the rest of our lives. Everyone knows that, right? We also need to exercise our minds and emotions for the rest of our lives. So it's just things that we do regularly, consistently, that keep us balanced and grounded in emotional sobriety. And the destination that we get to is that the result of that is that we feel comfortable in our own skins and we have appropriate emotional responses. Now, how will you know that this has happened? Because I'll tell you exactly what you'll notice. You will begin to notice that you are navigating through life and things are happening and that you have dealt with something differently. I don't know if you did that. I had that a lot where I was like, oh, I did that differently. Did that happen to you, Anne?
Absolutely did things differently.
And then afterwards kind of go, oh my God. And it kind of happened like almost automatically.
Yeah, I changed quite a bit actually.
So I remember when I was dating my husband, I was 6 years sober when I met him. And he was doing his PhD in Cambridge, where we lived at the time. And we had like a date set up for Friday night. And he, at the last minute, called to cancel. I think we were just going to go out for something to eat, maybe see a movie. It wasn't a big deal. He called up and said, I'm really sorry. There's this guest lecturer come in. I really want to see him because it's really like appropriate to my PhD. Can we do something tomorrow? And I was like, sure, that's fine, no problem. I get it. That's fine. Got a Friday night free unexpectedly. I think I went to my favorite AA meeting in Cambridge in this beautiful church with this beautiful stained glass window because I didn't really go to that one because I had a boyfriend who was doing stuff on Friday night. So off I went. I did that. He came over Saturday. We had a really nice weekend. And then on Sunday, I had this realization. I went, something's changed because I didn't used to deal with stuff in that way. What used to happen in the past is if a boyfriend had done that, I would have immediately told myself the story that he's canceling at the last minute because I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. He doesn't really care or love me. It's not fair. And I would have said, yeah, that's fine, but I wouldn't have meant it. And then I would have punished him all weekend passively aggressively. I wouldn't have said exactly what the problem was. I would have just been cool and distant. And I would have ruined our whole weekend for no reason at all. And then once I'd made him grovel sufficiently, then we could make up on a Sunday night. But I've already ruined the weekend. Has anyone done that or anything like that? And I just thought, oh my God, I just automatically had a different emotional response. Now, I'm going to tell you, if that Friday night, if we'd had tickets to Hamilton that we'd paid a fortune for, I would have been like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, because you got 5 minutes to change your mind, otherwise I'm calling my best friend and she's going to be very happy. And I'd have gone, I'd have taken someone with me. I'd have been annoyed, but there's no way I was going to miss it. That would have been an appropriate emotional response, but it wasn't a big deal. It was just casual dinner, whatever, hanging out. So you begin to have appropriate emotional responses and it just happens. I don't think I notice now, but I know for a long time, I'd be like, oh, I just had a very balanced and mature response to what happened. Because what I used to do is I took everything personally. And I want to tell you that is one of the defining characteristics of an alcohol problem. It's that we take everything personally. We think everything is about us. We think what you do, what you say, it's all about me, 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 me. Everyone relate to that? Mm-hmm. So we need to actually do things to create this emotional change in order to feel comfortable in our own skins and have emotional mastery in different emotional responses. And I'm going to tell you specifically what those things are. And this is, again, all the stuff I teach in my programs. I know Anne does in her work. And this is what we are going to be doing together over 5 months in the inner circle. We need to have really good, rock solid boundaries. We need to be able to have a method to free ourselves from resentments and activating events, which means we need to shift our perspective and our emotions quickly and effectively so we don't look for an anesthetic. We need to be able to understand our limiting beliefs and the negative stories that we tell ourselves. Just like in that example I gave you, my limiting belief was I'm not good enough. He cancelled his date with me because I'm not good enough. That's not true, but that limiting belief ruled my life. So we're going to show you how to change that, because this is why you drink. This is what's underneath all your drinking. And we need to reframe and heal our trauma. I know for me, boundaries were life-changing. And I say to people who join my programs, if you do nothing but work on your boundaries, your life will change. Anne, would you agree?
Yeah, in my practice, my therapeutic practice, I think 90% of everything is boundaries. We get 160 odd hours a week. And one of the most profound things I ever did was I was in a course with Gabor Mate, a wonderful thinker and writer. And the first thing we did was we were asked to take a big piece of paper and budget our 160 plus hours a week and how we spent them. Doing everything, obviously, 8 hours of sleep or 7 hours of sleep and so on. And it was clear as a bell where I was spending my time poorly. And I realized also I didn't have that many expendable hours. And how we choose to spend our hours, who we choose to spend time with, defines our life. And one of the great privileges of being sober is that you get to have a life you don't want to escape from, shape a life you don't want to escape from. And boundaries are everything. What we say yes to, what we say no to. Often we'll hang out with people and it's the equivalent of someone standing on your foot and you do not say no, don't want to be here. That's the great gift of being sober is you say, don't want to be here. I'll create a boundary.
And creating boundaries, it's so life-changing. I can remember I was less than 2 years sober, and I was sitting when I worked with Chip in the rehab that I trained in, and I was complaining about my mother, because that was where I had to start, was with my mother. And he said, you can have boundaries with parents. And I went, oh, no. Nobody ever told me that, let alone role modeled it for you. How did you begin to have boundaries then?
I had a huge boundary when I stopped drinking that I had to create around my mother, who was still drinking, and I had to establish that I wouldn't hang out with her if she was, going to guzzle more than 2 drinks. And it was likely she would. And so I began to really make it clear, having very declared conversations with her, that I needed her to measure her drinks and count them and behave differently, or otherwise I wouldn't be around. That was very sensitive, very, very sensitive territory. I live alone. I have a very big social life. I'm an extrovert. I could easily give away all my energy going out every night of the week and have nothing left for myself. I'm also a writer. And so if I do that, I won't have any time to write. So I still work hard at it. It's still something I have to navigate every week. And I have my clients do the budget of hours. I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do in your life to see where you're spending your hours. And if you take the givens that you want to spend a certain amount of hours weekly on exercise, weekly on seeing friends, weekly for me on writing, there are some non-negotiables that we have to keep our values. And if life is boundaries, life is also about your values, expressing your values. And it's one of the great gifts of being sober is that you can live by those values.
I think, can you say a little bit more about how scary it was? Because that's it's, I understood the theory, but it's actually really scary in practice at the beginning. Did you have that experience?
Terrifying. I grew up in an alcoholic household where you weren't allowed to say no. You weren't allowed to talk back. You weren't allowed to say, this isn't safe for me. You weren't allowed, it just wasn't, it wasn't kosher. And therefore, I was unschooled in boundaries. I had to develop them. And I still find it's like a bicep curl. You know, I first had to locate that there was a bicep, and then I had to work the boundary muscle, and remind myself all the time of the boundary muscle. I'm going on a holiday next week. I have to be sure that I'm not out 3 nights before I head on that plane, or I won't be packed. And that may sound obvious, but I think that this is the way we want to live consciously.
Yeah. So the thing about having boundaries is they're quite terrifying at first, because most of us are people pleasers. We care more about what other people think about us than what we think about ourselves. And that's what kind of happens in sobriety. You kind of chug on down the road and you just come to this realization that you can't continue to live the way that you're living if you want to stay sober. And it's to do with having boundaries and being a people pleaser. If I keep saying yes when I mean no, if I keep caring more about what other people think about me than what I think about myself, what happens is I just feel really, really uncomfortable. Let me give you an example of this. I used to be, does everyone know what people pleasing means? Let me give you an example if you're not clear. So I used to be the kind of person who, you know, when I worked in a large office in my 30s, I would walk into the office on a Monday and I would see Anne and I'd be like, oh, hi, Anne, how was your weekend? And if Anne went, yeah, it was fine, I would think, oh my God, what did I do? Right? Remember, we take everything personally. I think, what did I do? Anne is upset and it must be something to do with me. She doesn't like me. Is it the email I sent last week? Is it how I was in the meeting? What, like, why is, what's going on with her? And I would spend all day obsessed and worried about what Anne thought about me. And I would try and get her to like me again. Who has done that? I mean, what a freaking waste of energy, right? I don't know what, you know, it's the ego of making everything about me, right? Whatever happens is about me. Now, I would, same scenario, I would walk into the office Monday morning and go, hi, Anne, how was your weekend? And she was like, yeah, it was fine. I would think, I wonder what's up with Anne. And I'd go about my day. And I just go about my day. I wouldn't give it another thought. I think if I'm at, you know, if you have an issue about an email I sent, whatever, I'm just going to trust you're going to tell me. If not, what's going on with you is not my business. Let me tell you, that is freedom. When we talk about freedom from alcohol, we of course mean freedom from alcohol. We don't think about it. It's not part of our lives. But I want to tell you, that's not the actual goal of freedom. What we're talking about is freedom in our minds. Freedom in our minds by having boundaries, by not taking things personally, by not being a people pleaser. That is how we get freedom in our minds. Because if I spend all week obsessing about whether Anne likes me, or is she upset with me, or is this making up, like imagining things in my mind, it feels very uncomfortable. And what do I do when I feel uncomfortable? My brain looks for an anesthetic. So the only way, what's going to happen is with your sobriety, you're going to chug on down the road, and your people pleasing is not compatible with you staying sober a long time. And one of the most effective tools to deal with people pleasing is to have really, really good boundaries. What is my side of the street? What is everybody else's side of the street? And stay on my side of the street. Is this making sense? So these are specific. So Jennifer's saying, I fear if I set boundaries, people will think I'm a bitch. And that's exactly it, Jennifer. What other people think about me is none of my business. I sleep in my head tonight, not you. I have to show up in the world in a way that means that I can sleep in my head tonight, because nobody else does. And so the big thing, the process, and again, we're going to teach this in the inner circle, the process of setting boundaries, and it is a process. It's not, you don't just learn it one day and you're all good, right? How long do you think it took you, Anne? I mean, it's practice, right?
Yeah, I remember someone saying the infamous "no" is a complete sentence, and experimenting with my ways of saying no, or I'll think about it, but not saying a quick yes to everything. And I will admit that this is something I'm still working on, and I know it's central to how I live my life. Central, because I think that I can pack, as my mother used to do with her Christmas cake, too many cherries in a day. And that's going to lead me to exhaustion. Exhaustion is going to lead me to wanting to numb. Wanting to numb is not good. So I'm always mindful.
I would say after years of practice, I have boundaries of steel. My boundaries are pretty good. Another thing that I talk about in my book, The Pillar of Balance, about balancing our needs, that's one of the things that holds up your sobriety. You can't balance your needs and meet your needs unless you have really good boundaries. And you can't stay sober if you're not meeting your needs, because you deplete yourself and you run on empty, and then you resort to quick fixes to just numb or check out or whatever. That is what's the engine of a lot of your drinking. Can everyone see that? This is the emotional sobriety bit, people. This is the work that we have to do. We have to change. We have to do a behavioral change. Sobriety is only two things, really. It's a shift in perception, and we do get the shift in perception by consistently taking care of our mental and emotional health. That's the formula. That's the trick. If you're looking for the secret, the trick, the formula, that is what it is. I've done this for 23 years. I've read a lot. I've been to a lot of stuff. I have not seen any other way that really works effectively the way that does. A shift in perception. We do, and what I was describing there, that scenario, that's what that is. It's a shift in perception. I would walk into the office and perceive whatever anyone did or said was about me. And a shift has occurred where I just perceive it differently. I just think, what's going on with her? And go about my day. So that's the work we must do. That's the personal development work. Is this making sense to everybody? I love seeing all of the chat. I don't want it to be too distracting, but I just want to make sure that this is making sense to everybody. Is any of the stuff we're teaching, like, have you heard it before, or is it new, or is it surprising? Curious to know what everyone, like, if this is like, because for me, when I went on this journey and I heard it in lots of different places, like the boundary thing, I was like, oh, really? And then my next question was, how do I have boundaries? And again, there's too much to go into here. That's the work we do with our clients. That's the work we do with our programs, is how you can have boundaries in your life. I love Anne's whole method there of like doing a cost benefit analysis, really, right, of the hours that you spend. And I have a specific way that I teach people as well. A shift in perception by consistently taking care of our mental and emotional health, Jennifer. In your book, never, it's kind of new to, but I like, yeah. What I want you to really, and hopefully if you're you know, watching this and you're coming to this training, is that it's not just stopping drinking, right? Just tips and tricks to stop drinking. Just do a 21-day challenge, and it's all, I kind of have a little like with those things. I mean, I know it gets people started, and that's great, and Try January gets people started, and that's great, but I just don't like the message that there's just a quick fix and off you go and everything's fine. Yeah, anything else about boundaries, Anne?
Well, I was just going to say about the quick fixes that there is such a beautiful journey, I think. 2 months in, 5 months in, 9 months in, and you want some sustenance. You want, there's an evolving reality that is beautiful, and it's a little more substantial than just the 21-day, you know, can I stay sober?
Yeah, it's the journey back to ourselves, isn't it?
Totally.
It's a journey back to
Totally.
ourselves. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss your life. Don't miss. You know, the worst thing about having an alcohol problem is that we are sleepwalking through our lives, and we only have a finite amount of time, right? None of us know how much, and we are missing the main event, which is our lives. The alcohol is not the main event, but we have made it the main event. Who is ready to change? Because I want to talk about how to do that exactly. Who is ready to change? Who's done, and ready to change? Because I'm going to guess that most of you here, this is not your first thing. You've read some books, listened to some podcasts, done some challenges, done some free things, then maybe done some paid things, right? I'm guessing all of you've invested some time, money, and energy already in looking for a solution. And a lot of the time, before we can get to that point, we have done a lot of outside fixes to inside problems. Who's done that? Where we've just spent a lot of time, money, and energy on this will fix me. I've moved continents 7 times. 7 times I've moved from North America back to Europe. 7. That was me trying to fix myself. The last time, so 6 times, the last time I moved in sobriety with my husband. Actually, the time before that, I was sober and I was moving from America back to England. But I mean, let me tell you, that's expensive. That takes a lot of time, money, and energy moving.
Sounds exhausting.
And exhausting, and a really, really good way to avoid yourself and avoid what's really going on.
Yes, I'm sure.
The way to create the actual life you want is to make a commitment and invest in yourself. So I want to tell you about the Inner Circle program that Anne and I are going to be hosting. It's a 5-month coaching program. It includes 2 weekly calls and a 2-day online retreat with both of us. And this program will teach you how to be emotionally sober for the rest of your life. So some of you have been ready to do this work for some time. Over 5 months together, we are going to do the deeper work of sobriety. This is not surface. We are going to get right down to root stuff. And it's really necessary work that all humans must do. It's very skill-based, and we're going to give you very clear tools and skills to manage your mindset, emotions that will create behavior change. We can build a sober life from the ground up. It's not hard. It's going to require some effort, and you're going to need to put yourself first. The program's very manageable, and it will fit in with your life. And this is why we do this free masterclass. It's our free gift to the community, and we hope that you've got a lot out of it. Has everyone got a lot out of this so far? And it's also a chance for you to get to know us and feel really comfortable with us. if you want to take your sobriety to the next level. We are really clear on making sure that you do due diligence on us, you check us out, you look at our qualifications. I'm just going to say a lot of sober programs that are being sold out there is based on stuff that people have Googled. What we are going to teach is what we have been trained to do. It's the work we've done in our clinical practices, and it's the work we've done on ourselves. So we make 2 guarantees for anybody who chooses to work with us. Number 1, we will mess up your drinking, because we are going to reveal things to you that you can't unknow. And number 2, you will experience a transformation. Now, you have to show up. This doesn't happen with us waving our magic sober wands. You will experience a transformation because the skills and the work that we do is very cognitive. It's some of it is based on REBT, which is rational emotive behavioral therapy. It just creates a change, the internal shift. And this is a program for wherever you are in your sobriety. It's for the people who know they're getting that call to growth and they need to do more. So let me talk about the details and what's in it. So we have 6 modules that we're going to go through. The first module is how to set yourself up for successful sobriety, how to create a solid foundation. And we start by doing a cost-benefit analysis of your drinking, how to navigate social situations, how to deal with triggers and other people, how to change your mindset, all of that kind of stuff. Module 2 is about having boundaries and creating balance to meet your needs. Module 3 is shifting our perception of everything. And again, we do that by using REBT, rational emotive behavioral therapy. We're going to look at our resentments, our activating events, our limiting beliefs. Module 4, we're going to change the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. Module 5 is about leaving behind childhood wounds. So that's when we're going to get into reframing our trauma, how to heal our childhood wounds. And module 6 is about creating a practice to maintain our mental and emotional health for the rest of our life. And we do this over 5 months. There's 2 calls a week. There's a 2-day online retreat that happens in April, and I will give you all the details in just a second. So not everyone here is ready to do this, and it's completely normal to feel scared. How do you know if you're ready? You will feel uncomfortable. You will be hearing the call to growth, and the ego voice will be kicking in and saying, this is not for you, it's the wrong time, you can't afford it, all that kind of stuff. That's how the ego prevents us changing. So if you are ready to make the commitment, it's going to be by application only, and we will post that link shortly. It will also come around in an email. So the program starts on Tuesday, the 20th of February. There is actually a bonus call that happens on Tuesday, the 13th with Anne and I. It's a workshop that we do together. Really great way to get started. So there's lots of bonuses for people who sign up early and pay in full and all of that kind of stuff. So let me talk you through what the investment is. So the value, there's lots of other things in this program. There's some orientation classes at the beginning. There's kind of all of this kind of stuff, and it will be on the information page. The value of this program altogether is $12,946, which I know is a big number. Don't worry, that's not how much it costs. We've made it really easy for you. If you want to pay in full, it's $6,017, or it's 7 payments of $949 if you prefer to break it down in installments. And again, there are bonuses for signing up early and bonuses for paying in full. And I want to say something about the financial commitment because it's important. We have to make a commitment that we are really going to change. And we do that by activating the commitment within ourselves. Money is often how we sabotage ourselves. I've had people join my programs and they've said to me, Veronica, I've spent this money on my dog, on my house, on my car, on my wallpaper, but I have never spent or prioritized myself in this way. I have not prioritized my peace, my health, my wellness, or my freedom. We have invested a lot in trying to fix ourselves with quick outside fixes. So by spending this money, you are investing in yourself. You are buying into full commitment that you will change. And that's the investment activates that commitment that you will show up and that you will prioritize yourself and you will do the work. You're not going to buy this and not use it. This will serve you for a lifetime. So when we say things like, I can't afford it is something that really doesn't exist. Now, please don't misunderstand me. We are absolutely not saying that nobody should meet their financial obligations or anything like that. I know for some people this is not appropriate for you right now, and there's tons of free resources out there. But what we're doing is when we say that, we are saying that I am not a priority. This is not a priority for me right now, because when we look at our bank accounts, it shows us what our priorities are. So what I want to point out here is that we use our relationship with money to keep ourselves stuck. And we say, I can't afford it, as a reason to say no to ourselves. I had a client who, and this program, it's opening for application today. We already have people in the program who booked a call with me and wanted to join it. So we already have people that are in it. And one of my clients said, my life has got to be worth this. My life and my happiness has got to be worth this. It's when I think about it like that, it's nothing, because I've wasted tens of thousands trying to make myself happy with outside fixes. So ask yourself if you are a priority or not. The worst form of self-betrayal is that we don't prioritize ourselves and our needs. So Carrie is going to post in the comments the link to apply. It's a really extensive information page. There's lots of information. Please read it. Please apply. Once you have applied, and if you get approved, because we really want to make sure that this is a well-curated group, you'll be invited to attend an information session with Anne and I. And in that information session, that's your opportunity to ask questions, to do a lot of due diligence, find out in more detail what we're going to do in the program, how it's going to work. Tell us maybe a little bit about your personal circumstances and how you can apply this stuff. And then from there, you'll be invited to join. So it's going to be a process. There's a little form to fill out, get your applications in. The information sessions are going to be next week. There's 3, and you can just pick one: the Thursday, Friday, and then the following Monday, the information sessions. And again, this will all be in the email. It will all come to you once you apply. I know that this is going to bring up a lot of fear, and I appreciate that this is a commitment of time and money. And please know that we don't take this lightly, and it's why we have really emphasized checking us out and feeling really, really comfortable with our qualifications, backgrounds, all of that kind of stuff. Do your due diligence. We have both done this a long time. I have done this online coaching programs for a long time, and I promise, if you show up and do your part, and again, I'm going to just tell you, show up messily, imperfectly, humanly, this will deliver for you. We get to the root causes and create the change. So I am going to give you the homework question shortly. We're going to pop over to the VIP session in just a few minutes. And then we will see you tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? Let me put the homework question. The homework question is, why do you need to have boundaries? Who do you need to have boundaries with, and why? Tomorrow, we're going to look at how to have a sober life that doesn't suck. We're going to be talking about, don't miss tomorrow, it's really good. We're going to talk about resentments, activating events, and how and why we need to change those. And we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys. See everybody in the VIP in about 12 minutes. Take care.